Hello all and welcome to the video game selection series where we try to figure out what game I'm going to do a first playthrough next in the most convoluted way possible. Because remember, if it's not convoluted, it's not worth doing. Today we're doing the Challenger race for the video game series selection series 500 at Daytona. This will be a mimic of the duel at Daytona. 150 miles, 60 laps using the Indy Lights series cars. Not using the Premier cars for this because this is the Challenger series. We're trying to enter into the Pro series. We'll be taking the top 3 from this race into the Pro series at the following event. So the way this will work is we're going to have a short practice session now. We will then qualify to set the field for this event, and then we will move into a 60-lap race and find out what 3 series will be moving into the Pro Race series for the next event. So we'll let this run through here. Just enjoy the sights and sounds of the cars on track as we move through the rest of this practice session. Seeing some of this pack style racing we'll expect from the race today here in this Challenger Series race. Oh, one car peeling off into the pits. Yeah, cars that we see here, number 13 leading this pack is representing the Game & Watch series. For example, the Game & Watch Gallery on various Game Boy platforms. Number 4, representing the Wario series. Number 8, representing Earth Siege, fun mech-based game. I see number 19, that's Prince of Persia. And so on here in this pack during practice. Alright, cars have been pulled off track as we're now going to move into the qualifying phase. For qualifying, I'll have the results pulled up over here on the side so that we can see how they are doing. Looking at the fastest in practice, which of course included the draft, was Prince of Persia. But however, now you'll do single car qualifying. And for this, let's focus on number 1 in the queue, which is Pokemon. And we will see how the times fill out as everyone completes their 2 laps. We'll take the best of those 2 laps to fill out the field. The number 1 car of Pokemon heading into turn 3 and 4. Exiting onto the front stretch, going to the tri-oval. And the finish line here at the middle of the tri-oval, starting lap 1 of their qualifying session. Heading into turn 1, toward the bottom of the racetrack, not quite down to the yellow line. Moving more towards the middle of the track, going down the backstretch. Long backstretch here at this 2.5 mile oval. And entering turn 3. Maybe a little closer to the yellow line here in turn 3. Exiting turn 4. And onto the tri-oval to finish lap number 1. And let's check the number 2 car representing the Yoshi series while they're doing their second lap. Based on the first lap, Yoshi was actually the fastest with a 44.845, just barely ahead of Perfect Dark with a 44.852, and Earthsiege at a 0.855. Very close feel all the way throughout, it looks like. Yoshi coming up to the end of their lap. And has crossed the line. So after 2 laps, it appears that the pole sitter for this event will be the number 2 car representing Yoshi. Outside the front row would be the number 14 representing Animal Crossing. And Perfect Dark rounding up the top 3. Very close times there at the top. 0.01 seconds separating the top 4. Alright, and with that we will advance to the grid and start looking at the starting lineup. As the field's starting to take shape. Alright, we'll run down through the starting lineup before they pull off the track. There are 30 cars in this event. Remember, the top 3 will move on to the Pro Series at the following event to come up in whenever we decide to do it, which will probably be a road course race, so a little bit different than the oval race that we'll see today. So starting on the pole will be the Yoshi series, followed by Animal Crossing. In row 2, we've got Perfect Dark and Earthsiege. Row 3, Punch-Out and Luigi's Mansion. Row 4, represented by Double Dragon and Celeste. Row 5, Portal and Ninja Gaiden. Row 6 is Mario Party and the number 1 car of Pokemon. Row 7 is Mario Kart and Persona. Row 8, Metroid and Wii Sports. Row 9, Octopath Traveler and Fire Emblem. Row 10, Splatoon and Paper Mario. Row 11, we'll find Kid Icarus and Bayonetta. Row 12, we have Undertale and Dragon Quest. Row 13, we have Wario and F-Zero. Row 14 is Mech Warrior and Half-Life. And bringing up the rear of the field will be Prince of Persia and the number 13 car of Game & Watch. So just a few moments and those cars will be heading out onto the grid. And we will get this race underway. 60 laps, 150 miles, top 3 advancing to the Pro Series. Cars begin pulling away from the grid. We are currently sitting in turn number 1, going into turn number 2. As we get ready to kick off this Challenger Series event. Down the backstretch, one final time under caution before we get this contest underway. Now there will be a question of fuel. I asked a few teams before and they said they thought they could make it the full distance, but we'll see if that's just an optimistic viewpoint going into this event. No one got to practice under a full race length yet, so we'll get to see whether or not they can make it the full distance or not. But either way, as we roll through turns 3 and 4, we are about to get this Race underway. Shortly, the pace car will be pulling off into the pits. Top three advancing to the Pro Series of the following event as we await the green flag.
Green flag, green flag.
Green flag is out. Yoshi getting a good jump on the field, but given the importance of the draft here, I do not expect that they will pull away. I'll look for the other cars to pull them back in. Was single file going through 1 and 2, but down the backstretch we are now 2 wide most of the way throughout. Second and third from the grid have swapped places. So we come to the start-finish line, and it looks like Perfect Dark by 13 one-thousandths of a second across the line in the lead of lap 1. Everyone's still together as they're maneuvering and positioning themselves to give themselves the best shot to win. Right now, it's all about staying out of trouble, trying to make sure that you can make it to the end, and then a little later, it'll be about positioning yourself towards the front. Here we go, sticking to the Noah's Ark 2x2. As Yoshi led that lap by even less than what Perfect Dark led on the previous lap, like 9 one-thousandths of a second. Got the number 17 of Double Dragon here on the outside, looking to get into that top 3 spots. Remember, it's top 3 that we're interested in here, because that's who gets a shot at trying to be the next video game selected for a playthrough. Crossing the line for lap 3, Perfect Dark led that lap by 4 one-thousandths of a second. Closer and closer every lap. Ooh, somebody getting squirrely. Number 1 of Pokemon getting squirrely on the outside, now trying to make it 3 wide. But with no draft help, don't think they're going to go too far. Number 22 of Luigi's Mansion holding firm, 3rd place in the outside row. Ooh, and as I said that about Pokemon, looks like they are holding pretty strong on the far outside. Moving closer and actually looking to see if they can get around Luigi's Mansion for that 5th, 6th spot. Oh, but now looks like they have to fall back and sort of fall into line. Most of the way through, holding firm. There is a little jockeying for position, which lane to go in, and at various points throughout the field. But those in the first, call it 4 rows, are holding pretty steady right now. Everybody's still very close here at the line. If we continue running this way, the top 2, so the front of each of those rows, are well situated to qualify, but then the real race is going to be between the 2nd place in each of those rows, which are trying to finish in 3rd. The number 12 of Punch Out is 3rd on the inside row, looking to see if they can maneuver themselves into a better position. And who is this in ninth place who keeps kind of moving back and forth between lanes very frequently? Yeah, that is the number 27 of Portal. He's trying to figure out which lane to go in, but now looks like has settled into the lower lane as the upper lane is now... Oh, I thought it was going to be filled out, but looks like they've actually dropped back down to the lower lane as well. Ooh, getting a little squirrely through the turns coming out of turn 4. Yep, Yoshi still holding the lead on the inside lane. Yeah, 30 cars, nose to tail. Yeah, qualifying at such slim margins, and in reality, yeah, being at front means you don't have to make the moves to get to the front. It seems like it has been oh so important. Continue to move through, and we're getting ready to wrap up lap 8. This will be mile 20 of the 150 miles in the event. Everybody trying to stay out of trouble. We got one car on the outside trying to make a third lane. I believe that is the number 24 of Bayonetta making the run on the outside. And doing very well, it appears. Yeah, Bayonetta, who started towards the back of the field, is now pushing very well on the outside and is now neck and neck with the second row. And now neck and neck with the first row, bringing another car with her. So yeah, Bayonetta third, looks like also bringing along Metroid along with her. So the ladies of Bayonetta and Samus seem to be working together, trying to get themselves to the front. Now we are 3 wide, going back quite a ways. Metroid trying to decide whether or not to stay with Bayonetta or to move down with Miss Joanna Dark here. And it looks like she has decided to move down. Pokemon is now settling in behind Bayonetta as we are 3 wide, going back most of the way through the pack now. And now there will probably be a lot of shuffling and maneuvering, trying to figure out what lane is the best lane to be in. As it sits right now, Yoshi, Perfect Dark, Bayonetta are the top 3, each leading their respective lanes. Although most seem to prefer the low lane at this point of those following. Such close racing. And we'll see how those who are handling it out in the front are doing, because once again, fuel mileage was a question I've had, although the team seemed confident they'd be able to make it. But if you're the one out in front and not getting the benefit of the draft, we'll have to see how that plays out as we go, especially if we are in green flag conditions the entire event. Of course, if there is a wreck that's going to put people in danger, we will end up having a caution, and that will probably put to bed any fuel mileage concerns. But right now, clean race, and we're seeing a battle as games are maneuvering to what they feel like is the best spot, the place to give them the best opportunity to get into the Pro Series. And of those not leading their various lanes, the Metroid Series was the top of the second row of cars, but on the inside, the inside lane is catching up. Double Dragon on the inside lane. Looking to see if they can hang on. Woohoo, Pokemon getting very squirrely in third position in the bottom row. Bayonetta now all by herself running that lane. Oh, now getting some company. As Luigi's Mansion takes the second spot in the outside lane. Yeah, the respective leaders of the various lanes have maintained their leadership positions. There has been a little bit of shuffling as we move further back into the pack. And that is 1/4 distance complete. At the 1/4 distance, Yoshi, Perfect Dark, Bayonetta are the top 3 spots. Double Dragon, Metroid, Pokemon, Luigi's Mansion, Animal Crossing, Punch-Out, and Earth Siege are your top 10. Perfect Dark being left out by themselves in the middle lane. The low lane seems to be the preferred for most of the cars, but if you're looking to move up, you can't drive through somebody, so you got to move to another lane to be able to get around them. And that's where others have tried to move. Luigi's Mansion had a little bit of a slip up, which sort of made many cars check up behind them, and there's kind of a little bit of a break for the first 5, but with the draft catching back up very quickly. Double Dragon's now moved up a lane, Metroid moved down a lane. So yeah, trying to find what is best for you is... And who is this coming up here on the outside lane? Right now running in 6th position, Wii Sports. Looking to make some moves. Very clean race so far. Well, yeah, jockeying for position further back has been happening. Those, if you've been out front, you've been able to stay out front. We'll see if that continues as we get closer to the second half of this race. Down the back stretch. Sort of looking through the field. Some cars who had been up front a little earlier, such as Earth Siege, I noticed has fallen back a ways. Running 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th in line on the lower line. We'll see if they can get back up into the mix a little later on. And the bottom line's now pulling ahead of the outside line, led by Bayonetta, although here on the backstretch, coming back, the 3 rows are within a car length of each other. Beautiful shot, seeing Yoshi out in front. Samus actually running second on the inside lane and second in the race. Though I suspect as we come down this front stretch that will change. No, Metroid will be second as we come across the line here to finish lap number 20. 40 laps to go, 100 miles. 50 miles complete, 100 miles to go. Yoshi, Metroid, Double Dragon on the inside lane. Bayonetta finally settles into the middle lane, so now there are only 2 lanes going at the moment. Perfect Dark, Bayonetta, Wii Sports. No, not Wii Sports. Who is this on the outside of... in the third in the outside lane? That looks like that would be Portal. Good to see Portal making their presence felt. Yeah, where there was a very big pack spreading out 3 wide, now settling into a lot more 2x2. Going back, although there are more cars in the bottom lane than there are in the top. Further back you can see some shuffling down. Bayonetta had a look to the outside, trying to make a run for the top spot, but settles back in. If there are questions about fuel mileage, settling back in and taking some draft won't be the worst thing in the world for sure. Yeah, right now, Perfect Dark, the leader of the outside lane, is running consistent with Metroid, the second place car in the bottom lane. A lot of side-to-side movement from Perfect Dark, Metroid, Wii Sports back there, 5th in line on the bottom row, also moving back and forth quite a bit. Looks like there's a little bit of uneasiness as we approach the halfway point of the race. Yoshi's been in firm control, although Yoshi, along with Perfect Dark, have been the only cars not really ever having been a drafter. They've always had somebody drafting off of them, but being out in front, punching the hole in the air, we'll have to see if that has any implications further along in this race. Right now, as it stands, if we were to take the top 3, that would be Yoshi, Metroid, and Perfect Dark. Cars looking to disrupt that. 4th place in the third in line on the inside row, Double Dragon. 2nd in line on the outside row, Bayonetta. 4th in line on the inside row, Pokemon. And 3rd in line on the outside row, Wii Sports. where we stand right now. Luigi's Mansion, Portal, just behind them. As another lap is ticked off. Currently on lap 27 out of 60. Holding firm. There is quite a bit of movement. I don't know if the air is getting unsettled and people are moving around, but as the car in front moves around, the car behind is trying to follow to make sure they stay in the draft as well as possible. Down the backstretch, it looks like Perfect Dark is starting to inch ahead of Metroid. Going through turns 3 and 4, though, Metroid pulls back ahead. At the Tri-Oval, we'll see how things look. Metroid and Perfect Dark, I'd say, are neck and neck as we're going across the line. 2 laps from the halfway point. Bayonetta looking to the outside. Will they be the only ones? Bayonetta right now moving ahead of Perfect Dark, not enough to take the lane. But Yoshi out in front by themselves, and then after that a 3 wide for the next row. Metroid on the bottom, Perfect Dark in the middle, Bayonetta on the outside. A little further back, looks like that's Portal trying to move up with Bayonetta on the outside. Wii Sports has moved to the middle. The 12 car of Punch Out also in the middle lane. Portal ducked down all the way to the bottom lane, leaving Bayonetta by themselves, and Bayonetta starting to fall back now, as we should have just crossed the halfway point. At the halfway point, the standings are Yoshi, Metroid, Perfect Dark, Double Dragon, Wii Sports, Bayonetta, Pokemon, Punch Out, Luigi's Mansion, and Portal. Your top 10. 30 laps down, 30 laps to go. 3 wide up front. On the stretches, at least on the back stretch, it seems like the outside and middle lane close even with Yoshi, but in the turns, Yoshi sneaks back in front. Has controlled this race from the beginning, setting pole time, holding the bottom. Has had some laps where Perfect Dark did get the lead, but has effectively been controlling this race all the way. But we are only at the halfway point, and so we've got a ways to go, see if that continues. Now, one thing this would mean is it's less likely that Yoshi would be involved in any trouble if there was an incident between cars. That's the nice thing about being out front. Worse fuel mileage, of course, is the bad part of it. Bayonetta still trying to stay true to the outside lane, but really seems to be falling back. Is now consistent with the fourth row. Although here on the back stretch, making a run, pushing ahead. Not sure if there might be any additional stress on the outside. That's impacting your ability the longer this race goes. Luigi's Mansion has now joined Bayonetta on the outside lane. Yoshi out in front, and then 2 rows of 3 wide for 2nd through 7th. Then really it just settles into 1 lane for quite a while, just the inside lane. Once again, seems to be the preferred if you're not at the front. Of course, if you're Double Dragon, Wii Sports, Pokemon, Luigi's Mansion, right now you're not going to get to the top 3 by just following somebody else. You're going to have to make a move at some point. Still in a phase where you're trying to stay out of trouble, but there will come a time where you've got to make a decision about whether to go for it or not. And what will you do while you're going for it? Where do you position yourself? How do you get yourself into that best position to move through the pack? We're coming up to lap 35 complete, 25 laps to go. Bayonetta holding true to the top lane. The only game that has consistently stayed on that outside lane. If I recall, Bayonetta did not qualify particularly well. Yeah, 22nd place starting spot, so done very well to be in a top 3 position for a good portion of this race, using that outside lane to her advantage, but was that something that helped out early, but ultimately was not the call for the full length of the race? Time will tell. Yeah, 2nd, 3rd, 4th look to be just in lockstep in their inside, middle, and outside rows as they go to the backstretch, entering turn 3. Oh, Yoshi pulling off. Yeah, they will. It appears they will not be able to make it the full distance on full. Yoshi has been the only one out there that has had to punch the hole in the air the whole time, all by themselves. Couldn't do it. So they are coming in, and yeah, it looks like no car should be able to make the distance. The lap 38, or into lap 37, going into lap 38, is when Yoshi, who has led this race from the beginning, has now pulled off into the pits. If that's the case, I would expect Perfect Dark would not be too far behind, given that Perfect Dark has been punching a hole in the air the whole time. So here's the field. Let us quickly take a look at Yoshi and see where they are. They are on the backstretch, entering turn 3 now. And the leaders are entering turn 3 as we speak. So about 3/4 of a lap behind after the pit stop. Everyone else, if they ultimately have to make a pit stop, they will have to take on less fuel. So that means that they will spend less time on the pits. And so there is that possibility of being able to jump Yoshi. Also, Yoshi running all by themselves, getting no benefit from the draft. And so therefore might not be even close to the lead when we get to the outcome of this race. So we'll have to keep an eye on that, as others may need to duck into the pits. Now, Perfect Dark might need to get to the pits, but might not be able to because they've had a hard time getting down to the inside lane. So is it possible that they just get hung out to dry and eventually just round a few out there on track? We'll have to see. So Metroid now assumes the lead of the inside lane and the lead of the race. So we just completed lap 40. That's 100 miles down, 50 to go at the 100-mile mark. With Yoshi having pitted now, we have Metroid at the lead, Double Dragon, Perfect Dark, Bayonetta, Wii Sports top 5, Pokemon, Luigi's Mansion, Punch-Out, Portal, and Animal Crossing, your top 10. So that might have shaken things up quite a bit because, yes, I would expect that even if everybody else pits, because they've been sticking to the draft, they are going faster now with the draft, and they will have to put less fuel in the car whenever they do have to pit. That could be a bad sign for Yoshi. Oh, Perfect Dark. They are moving all around. Have they ran out of fuel? Moving down to the inside part of the track, and now the field is split up quite a bit. I wonder if Perfect Dark just ran out of fuel. We'll see, we're looking at Metroid and Double Dragon right now by themselves. Bayonetta now catching up very fast. Yoshi, Bayonetta pulling off. Metroid and Bayonetta pulling off. Metroid had been following along the bottom lane quite a bit, so had not needed fuel. I wouldn't have expected. Bayonetta has been up at the front of their lane, so not surprised that they would need fuel. And right now we're running with the front group, with after Perfect Dark having a little bit of a moment. These four have now separated themselves. And as the pit cycle goes through, we'll have to see ultimately how this all shapes out, because I have no idea who's going to be in the lead once all this is said and done. We have Double Dragon and Punch-Out peeling off into the pits right now. And that is meaning the lead is now being taken over by Pokemon and Animal Crossing. Currently running 1-2 and all by themselves. But they will need to pit. And when they pit, where will they cycle out relative to everybody else? That's just the big question mark. And will there be a pack? Will some cars have separated themselves away from the rest of the pack through all of this? Right now, if you're going to run side by side like this, it's better probably to come into the pits right now, because otherwise you're just out there by yourself. You're going to be in the same situation that Yoshi's in right now. So Pokemon pulls off into the pits, which brings the lead back to Animal Crossing. As you see, Animal Crossing lapping members of the field. However, Animal Crossing still due in to the pits. So, Animal Crossing is working through that right now. We'll have to just see, for the moment, where's everybody else going to be. So right now we're following along with Ninja Gaiden. We've not talked about really at all at any point during the race, but right now running third. Number 6 of Undertale, just behind. Number 7, Mech Warrior. Because right now this is sort of the top group, but they are all right now coming into the pits. They must have been separated as we went through, their moment behind behind Perfect Dark. They had an incident. Right now, going back up to the front here to see where Yoshi is cycled through, and honestly, we've got a lot of familiar faces here with this group. Yoshi, going from back to front, Yoshi, Bayonetta, Metroid, Double Dragon, currently running in this group of 4. But is this the lead group as we have cycled through all of the pit stops? Yes, yes it is. As it stands right now. So we'll see, let's stay with Double Dragon here. Double Dragon catching up to Animal Crossing. So Animal Crossing might be the leader as it stands at the moment. Going longest on the run may have proved out good for that. Had to take on less fuel, and therefore might have just set yourself up really well to get yourself to the front. So yes, as I believe we have made it through a full cycle of the pits, let's check out your top 10. Really your top 8 look like they're the ones who have the chance to be in the top 3 spots at the end, based on the gaps. So this is coming up to, we'll do this as they cross the line. This will be completing lap 47, meaning 13 laps to go. Bayonetta in first place, followed by Animal Crossing, Double Dragon, Metroid, Yoshi, Pokemon, Wii Sports, and Punch-Out! All of them are within a half a second of each other. So this is the group that really has a shot to win it. Everybody else is 10 plus seconds back. Really kind of out of the running unless there is a caution to bunch up the field. So really this, your top 8, these are the ones looking to make it into the Pro Series race at the next event. You have Yoshi, who led most of this race, was the first that had to pit, but was able to recover despite the longer pit stop, currently running 5th. True to her nature, Bayonetta running the higher line, higher than anybody else. The other 7 currently running the low line. Ooh, Double Dragon moving up into the high line along Bayonetta. Oh, now pokes back down. Yeah, there is some jockeying, some shuffling. Metroid moves up to the top. As does Pokemon. Oh, and then everybody moves back down into the middle lane as they're going through the turn. Metroid getting a little back and forth movement as they're going through the turns right in front of Yoshi. We'll see if Yoshi can recover to their former position up at the top of the field, but probably a different story running behind and trying to get by as opposed to being at the front already. While we're here, I want to check on Perfect Dark to see where they have ended up in all of this. Currently, they are in last place, 1 lap down. Looks like they really had to make a big effort to try to get back to the pits. Possibly ran out of fuel, but they are well back in the field and out of the running. Yeah, really just caught in a position where they could not make it down to pit lane because with the pack racing, unless you can fight your way down to the bottom, you can get hung out to dry. So less than 10 laps to go. Animal Crossing up front. Bayonetta, Double Dragon, Metroid, Yoshi, your top 5. Pokemon, Wii Sports, and Punch-Out in the running to make it to those podium spots. Metroid moving to the top line, giving Yoshi an opportunity to move up to third on the inside lane. Metroid goes back down to defend. Metroid kind of moving back and forth, trying to take up a whole row in both lanes, it seems like. Completing lap 52. We have 8 laps, 20 miles to the finish. Animal Crossing holding the top spot in the inside line. Bayonetta holding the top spot on the outside line. Most cars sticking to the inside, as has been the case most of the race. Double Dragon moves to the high line. Can Metroid move into the second position in the inside line? No, Double Dragon comes back down to defend the spot. Double Dragon now looking to possibly move into the middle lane, but no, decides to tuck in behind Bayonetta. As Metroid is now firmly in the second spot on the inside line. Yoshi the third spot on the inside line, but now looking to move to the high side. Oh, but then sneaks back down as they enter turn 3. Going through turn 4 now. Double Dragon looking to the Bayonetta line up top. Now we're 2 by 2 by 2 by 2. For just a moment, we had 2 rows, 2 rows going. Let's say 2 lines going 4 deep. And the backstretch looking for something similar. But it seems like when we get to the turns, lots of games deciding they want to be on the inside line as they're in the turns. This will come up to complete lap 55. We will have 5 laps to go. 5 laps to decide this one. Six cars on the inside line, 2 cars on the top. Pokemon moving up to the top lane to follow Bayonetta, who is the top spot on the outside, followed by Double Dragon. Yeah, down the straightaway, it looks like they do settle into 2 lines, 4 cars deep, but in the turns, cars still moving down to the bottom. Complete lap 56. 4 laps, 10 miles to go here at Daytona to determine the top 3 spots in the Challenger Series. We'll move to the lowest class of the Pro Series race at the next event. Who will be there in that Pro Series race? As it stands right now, it looks like Animal Crossing and Bayonetta look pretty strong to be there. Like we'll have a drag race between Metroid and Double Dragon to get there, but can Luigi's Mansion, Pokemon, Wii Sports, or Punch-Out have something to say about it? 3 laps to go. Such a tight pack race. Down to 2 laps to go. 2 laps remaining in this one. 5 miles to decide it all. 2 lines of 4. Can anybody poke their nose out and be able to move up a couple spots here before the end of the race? In the background, you can see a second pack that had formed, but if we're only taking the top 3, we're going to stick with this one for the last lap and a half. Coming up to the white flag, there's a lot of movement back and forth, just little micro movements. We're trying to hold on to this one. White flag is out, final lap. Yoshi sticking to the inside, 3rd on the second line. That is likely not going to be good enough. Right now it looks like Animal Crossing and Bayonetta are shoe-ins to the top 2 spots, but of Metroid and Double Dragon, who will be able to take it? Going through turn 3 for the final time. Turn 4, Metroid poking ahead of Double Dragon as they're coming down to the finish. Here we come. Animal Crossing and Bayonetta will be side by side as they come across the line, and it looks like Metroid with an even time to Double Dragon. The same deficit to the leader, but Metroid nosed ahead by just the littlest of bit from the 15th starting position. Was able to get that 3rd and final spot to move into the Pro Series. So Animal Crossing started 2nd, then it seemed like fell back for a while, but then ended up ultimately getting the victory. Bayonetta from a 22nd starting spot, finishing 2nd, and starting 15th, but finishing 3rd, Metroid, to move into the Pro Series at the next Video Game Selection Series event. Just missing out on the bubble. We got Double Dragon, Yoshi, Pokemon, Wii Sports, Punch-Out. The next pack, who was catching up, but just not ultimately able to make it, was Ninja Gaiden in 9th, Portal, Game & Watch, Undertale, Splatoon, Wario, and Mech Warrior. That was for 15th. Then next big pack, which is pretty much the rest of the field, we have Earth Siege in 16th, Half-Life, Paper Mario, Mario Kart, Prince of Persia, F-Zero, Luigi's Mansion, Persona, Celeste, Mario Party, Octopath Traveler, Fire Emblem, Kid Icarus, Dragon Quest, and finishing 1 lap down after being hung out to dry and running out of fuel is Perfect Dark. Well, thank you everybody for watching as we'll move into the Pro Series race in a little while. That'll be a fun multi-class race where the different classes are in different vehicles of different speeds, which will make for different packs as we're going through. And the overall winner will then decide what will be the next first playthrough that I will have, as the choices for games is just become too many, and I need to just leave it up to the fates of a convoluted AI-driven gaming process. So tune in for that, and we will see how that goes. But for now, congratulations to Animal Crossing, Bayonetta, and Metroid for moving on to the Pro Series at the next event. Thank you for watching, and we'll catch you next time.